Hey everybody, James the D guy. Today I'm going to show you how to change a CV shaft on a front wheel drive Honda Civic. 1991, actually anything from 88 to 2000 Honda Civic is basically the same. It's really kind of simple, and I've already pre-loosened the bolts so it doesn't take too long and too much of you guys' time, so here we go. First you're going to want to start by removing the wheel and taking off all the lug nuts, which is kind of an obvious, it's a given. So you'll jack the car up, take the wheel off, get it to this point right here. What you'll do next is you'll take 17mm and you'll want to break the bolts loose over on the edges. So I already did that, kind of loosen them up so you guys can see this in a faster video. And you will want to keep these, I always just put them up here for safekeeping. Next, you'll want to undo these 14mm strut bolts up top, which I have also already loosened up, and we'll take those off. Alright, now that we got those off, we'll go back down to the bottom. And while you're down here, you can inspect your tie rod ends and your upper bushing, and just kind of give it a good look through. All of mine's good because I just replaced the entire suspension. And you can see down here that bushing's torn. I have to replace that one. That's the only bushing I haven't got to yet. But we'll set this down so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing up here. There's a bolt right here. It's a 17mm. Usually use a wrench on one side and the ratchet on the other, or two ratchets if you have it. I've already pre-loosened that bolt also. So what I'll do is I'll stick my ratchet on this side and just take it off. You want to put it out somewhere you know where you find it. Don't want to lose any of those. And then before getting everything fully disassembled, what you'll want to do is right here, there is a 32mm nut. See how it has a pinch in there? You'll want to take a flathead screwdriver, wedge it in like that, and hammer it and get those pinches out, and you'll reverse the procedures to putting it back together. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so what I forgot to tell you is to keep one nut up top and one nut on the control arm for the strut and the control arm, one nut, and make sure they're kind of snug. They don't have to be. But when you go to break this bolt loose, the whole thing's going to want to come down, and you're going to bring it all the way down if you don't keep that on there. So next what you'll do is you'll take a broken screwdriver or a brand new one, just make sure it's pretty thick, shove it right in the slot on the brakes. It'll lock it all in place. Then you break the nut loose. Alright, now that I got the nut loose, I push the CV shaft through. Not all of them move that freely. Might take a couple tries to get that nut broke loose. Usually they're on there pretty tight. Make sure you use a breakover bar. You can use a pipe on the end of it and it helps with leverage. I have had this thing for about 3 years, haven't broke it yet. I used to break ratchets all the time. So next what you'll want to do is pull that bolt out of the bottom. And you see the strut just fell. These don't come down sometimes too easy. So what you'll do is you'll take a hammer and very lightly tap on the top of them. If lightly doesn't work, you can put the nut on a little ways so you don't damage threads, and then give them a good little tap. Should come right down. Alright, it came down pretty easy. So what you'll want to do next is remove the brake line if you haven't already. I kind of keep mine in a way to where it doesn't get tangled up and everything's out of the way. Normally there will be a bar connected right here. I always take those off and just put them on like this, and then the strut will go down. You push it down with your foot, it helps. Just take the strut right out. Fairly simple. Then you'll push the CV shaft through, pull the CV shaft out like this. Well, I can turn this a little bit. Might have to turn the steering wheel a little. Sometimes it has a lot to do with the way you get the shaft out. And the shaft's broke free. Now that the shaft's just kind of sitting here freestyling, what we'll do is we'll disconnect it from the transmission. On this step, it usually does make a mess. As you can see, my seal's leaking. That's why I'm replacing it right now and putting a new CV shaft in. You just get a flathead screwdriver, preferably a pretty big one, and you do it like this. Shove it in there. Be careful not to damage the seal. You'll shove it in to where you can wiggle it, and then just give it a good push. You can see it'll make a little good mess there. The CV shaft will come right out. Should have probably put a catch can down to catch all that oil. That's what I'll do. Alright. Probably should have told you to do that. I didn't think there was that much fluid in the tranny. Okay, now next step is pretty simple. You just get the CV shaft, give it a little tug after it comes out, and there she goes. And that's it for that CV shaft. So here's how we put it back together. Okay, new seal's in, and this is how it's gonna go back in. You get it in the hole. I don't know if you can see. I'll try to get it a good view there. Get it in the hole. It'll lock in. Once you're able to turn the transmission a little bit and you can hear it, then just give it a really good shove. And there it goes, right inside the tranny. Now after that's done, you'll want to take the shaft, put it back in the hole. Put this back a little bit, pull it through. Now she's in. Now what I do from here is I usually just put the 32mm nut on, like so. Hang on, there's a big spider, I'm gonna kill it. I don't like spiders. Alrighty. Now that that's done, I just snug it up there a little bit. I'm gonna have to put the camera down, but you can watch how to do that, hopefully from where it's at. Now getting the position of your strut back in is key. On the passenger side, you want this hump facing the front of the vehicle. So what you'll do is you'll take this strut. I'm going to adjust the height up a little bit because I noticed that the car wasn't sitting level. So let me get that height up real quick. Okay. And take the strut and shove it over the CV shaft and get it down in there. Then you'll take the upper control arm and maneuver it around so it's back in like that. What you'll do from here, it helps if you have two people, but you can do it by yourself. It's not too bad. You get the strut up. Once you get it up there where you need it in, you take the 14mm nut from above and you stick it on so it holds the strut in place while you work down here. And what you want to do is get your bolt, your 17mm bolt and nut that goes off the bottom. You'll want to push this back up and then shove that bolt through like that. And then you can put the nut on the other end and tighten it all down from there. The next part's fairly easy too, on getting these back up in there. What you'll do is you might tighten this 14 up real quick. Once you get the upper control arm through, you're going to want to put the nuts on top just to kind of get them started. Same as you did with the strut. And then tighten them down. There's those two. Drills must be dead. Go back to the wrench. Don't forget about your lower nut needing tightened up. Can't forget about it. Now that that's done, what you'll do is you take the screwdriver from before, you'll stick it right here so that when you go to tighten the nut down, it stops it. You'll want to really put your weight into that. And then when you're done, just take a hammer. It doesn't have to be a sledge or anything. Just kind of tap it on there. Keeps the nut from wiggling free. And then you're all done with the CV shaft. And that's all it takes to do a CV shaft on a front-wheel drive car. Everything's good. Now that you're done, you'll check the fluid on your transmission. Depending on what motor or engine, the transmission is, they're a little bit different from the D15s to the D16s are, I think, almost a half a quart difference or something like that. Just depends, 5-speed or 4-speed. B18s I know are a little bit different. B16 trannies hold a little more fluid capacity. But I'll check all that and fill it up, put my wheel back on, and it's good to go. So I hope this video's helped somebody. Thanks for watching.